Since the introduction of the North American League, no team has ever gone 0-7. No squad ever went winless for 7 straight games to start a stage. Today, that might change. It might go in the record books never to be altered, or it might be staved off for another day and OXG can avoid the wrong side of history. Welcome back to the North American League. I'm Jacob, he's Laxing, he is Foxay. That's something that we've been harping on this entire stage. OXG keep on getting into the record books for bad records day in and day out. We don't want to talk about it, but when it's this pivotal, you kind of can't not focus on it like this.
I hope we just don't keep seeing history keep being made as this stage
I hope not.
Yeah,
I hope not.
It's an unfortunate situation for OXG because we talked about it in the first game with Los. It was like, oh, well, Los did beat OXG. But OXG has more rounds won in total. And so even though the games aren't necessarily going in OXG's favor, they are making the competition close and they're keeping it in there. And so far, I think they're getting a little bit better. But C9BC, out of all the teams that we could have played, we highlighted how Dark Zero was the team that we could see OXG beat yesterday. C9BC, I don't know. That seems like a whole different battle.
Yeah, but like even when you look, again, with all the games that Oxygen has played, they have kept it very close. And even bringing Sonics to the brink of possibly, winning that game, or even against Dark Zero, beating them. So this is no easy game for C9 Beastcoast by any means. And to be honest, C9 Beastcoast has been tapering off a little bit in these past 2 games.
That's what I'm thinking. The fact that OXG had a really good shot against Dark Zero on Labs yesterday, and we gave them a lot of reasons for why they might win, this might be the opportunity that is even better than Dark Zero because C9BC is slightly on the decline. Last time they played, it was yesterday to SSG, lost 7-5. Playoffs is right around the corner, and we know that these guys can taste it, but taking care of business right now needs to be the priority, and that loss yesterday brought them back down to a 3-3 record.
Yeah, it is a little worrisome because, when you compare them to last stage and how much we talked about them and the resurgence that saw and that carried them all the way into Manchester and then also winning it, then now we find them here. I mean, Fox kind of predicted, they might fall off. It is hard to keep that top position, but to think that we are at the end of this stage and this is where we're starting to see the performance decline, it is worrisome because when you look at this game, 2 games ago where they played against Dark Zero, sure, they played this map 3 times, which already we talked about was kind of a little bit of an ego choice for them. Why would you go to it 3 times? Again, lack of quality.
Especially against DZ, who loved to
lack of quality created a little false sense of reality that their map really just wasn't as strong. And then we go into the most recent match against SSG, where we threw this up as Lair. Both teams are going to try something different. I mean, both teams across the board looked really strong, but obviously SSG coming out on top. But again, that's still no points accumulated for either one of these games. So when you look at their stage performance as a whole, I mean, it's worrisome a little bit.
Yeah, definitely going to have some stress to it, and obviously going to a map 3 times and then bringing a team back to it, to me, even though you didn't play against the best teams, yeah, of course, it has a level of, hey, what we're doing is good, and you've been talking about it all stage, that C9BC loves making teams play their game, but at a certain point, you have to take into account when you play other good teams that you're staying on top of the maps and everything that comes along with playing a map multiple times.
Remember what happened at the end of Stage 1, at the beginning of Stage 1 when they lost 3 games straight and then came back? They've now lost 3 games this stage, and there's still a chance they could win out here.
Yeah, and these are the comparisons of both Stage 1 and Stage 2, and honestly, it is a little worrisome because if we can just pull up Stage 1, they started out great, and it just kept excelling from there, and we saw that huge resurgence after those first 3, and then going from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 down the road.
Yep.
That's what pushed them all the way into that playoffs.
Remember, they won out after that
exactly.
first 0-3
They just
skid.
completely won out, and then we show Stage 2, you can obviously then see the decline, and that's the worrisome part because they have not solidified their spot here in playoffs yet. Yes, they are on the cusp of getting that, but if we continue to see this performance decline, and again, it's not a drastic decline, but it's a decline nonetheless, and especially where Oxygen has been performing, not at the highest in terms of getting wins, but they have been keeping it competitive, it does worry me because C9 Beastcoast need these points just as much as Oxygen does to still try to keep their hopes alive. So I expect this game to be really close, but I really need C9 Beastcoast to really step it up and not let their foot off the gas like we're seeing these results so far.
Just remember, if you're C9BC, the situation for you is not nearly as dire as it is for OXG. C9BC might have lost 2 games straight. Problem is, OXG have lost 6 games straight, and they're trying not to make it 7. The situation that they find themselves in is potentially history in the making if they don't get their act together with this one. Last time they played was that Labs game against Dark Zero just yesterday. Still probably one of the best shots they had this stage to get a W. Map worked in their favor. Got defense first. Game was 5-5, and then in those last 2 rounds, they just slipped.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a rough showing, and the games, even though they haven't won anything, their 0-6 scoreline makes it look a lot worse than it actually is, because every single game they've been competitive, and especially in the last two, they've gotten very close. Lair and Labs, their last game was Labs. It was very, very close, and it's not for a lack of trying that they're losing. Individually, we always talk about big performers and how well everyone's been performing, but this player that I wanted to highlight the most was Newers. He was one of the main factors that was keeping OXG alive yesterday and this whole stage. He was the main pivot that kept keeping the players that they've been playing against on their toes. He keeps getting opening kill after opening kill, and it puts OXG in a great position. But it really comes down to, again, we always talk about it, that leadership in those last little minutes that unfortunately is what costs them. And that's so far the only thing that's costing them. If they can figure out that little late game issue, what's the understanding, how are we gonna win this round, identifying the issue, they're already doing the hard part first, which is we were talking about Los being good on attack, but not being able to close it out. OXG is good at the start of every round. They're able to fight back with that opening kill, but they just can't close out any rounds.
Yeah, and we even saw that match. I said it myself. Oxygen could have closed that out at 7-3. There were many rounds that were easily in Oxygen's hands, and they would immediately throw it away. But it goes back to what we keep regurgitating, is of that leadership. Just someone being able to be like, hey, I'm giving up this position, watch this position for me. Or I'm rotating here, rotate with me. Let's do this, let's do this. It's a lot of individual plays, which is why we get to highlight certain players, because they do have a lot of individual skill, but that individual skill isn't correlating in terms of rounds won or games won for that matter, where again, it's such a small thing to just be able to communicate and work together.
Sure.
And if we did see that, we would see them cross that finish line.
To me, that 14-9 scoreline, by the way, is great for any one of these guys to get, but it's no disrespect to Newers. Technically, any of the players on OXG should be good enough and have previously proven to be good enough to get those kinds of results.
I would say on paper, 100%.
But yet they're still 0-6.
I would definitely dispute that, because I feel like this whole stage we've been talking about them having big players who can, everybody can pop off. But the thing and the issue with super teams is somebody has to eat the bad part of the food.
Somebody has to play Thermite.
Somebody has to play the support, has to drone. And unfortunately for your OXG, it's almost like none of the players want to do that. None of the players want to do the grunt work. None of the players want to focus on what everyone else is doing and guide. They all want to be the star player and the superhero. And unfortunately, throughout the stage, we have not seen the same players do consistently well. It's always Newers doing well, trying to pick up the slack, whereas the rest of the players struggle regardless of what role they're on.
It's
Fair
a tough
point, I
one.
suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking more like historical precedent, because we know the guys are good. Hat is
I think
Diaz and Lucas are good.
Yeah, I think based off the own players' individual performance throughout their career, they've all been really well. But again, super teams also create a recipe for disaster because it lacks.
Interesting. That's really interesting, because all throughout the stage, I've been trying to just pay attention to OXG's bans, and they always ban Skyscraper, Bank, and Cafe, and it always looks like they have a map problem. So when teams play against them, it's very easy to understand what map you're going to go to. OXG going to Cafe must mean that they have some preparation trying to take C9BC to a weaker map, but C9BC loves Cafe. It's not one of the best maps for them, but they are really good at it. And I mean, Spirits has a whole commercial against BDS on Cafe, so it's a map that they are proven on to be able to beat some of the best teams on it.
I was going to say, I'm really hoping that they have some counter stress, and then we will see some crazy things on their attack half defense. You're just going to have to play a pretty basic game of defensive stopping. It's kind of similar to Border in a way of you're giving up a little bit, well, not as much control, but you're going to be fighting them almost immediately the second get to the top floor, maybe the middle floor, and then basement, you're going to turtle up. Again, regardless still on defense, it's going to come down to a lot of positioning and being able to play off one another, where they lacked against DZ. So still on all fronts, they need to have that leadership. They need to have that communication, but even more so on these attacking halves on Cafe, because it is going to be hard to get into the map in certain areas and be able to push through that, especially with how C9 Beastcoast plays. And I talk about they set the tempo and they want you to play into their siege.
Exactly. C9BC has a very aggressive style of play, especially on Cafe. It's a very linear map. OXG, one thing that they were very good on Lair and Labs, their last two games that they've played, is the way that they've been able to connect to each other and trade against Newers' aggression, being able to play off of him. Now, if they can just focus on that and make sure that they go into it with a hot start, close out those rounds, they'll be in a good position, but it's still C9BC. I don't think they're going to just give them the opening picks that easy.
Both of you picked C9BC in this matchup, which means inherently both of you are saying Oxygen's about to go 0-7 for the first time in an NAL stage. However, Does this map against this team give them as good or a better chance than DZ on Labs
I think
yesterday?
it really comes down to their
No?
prep on attack, but ultimately I still have to go with C9 Beastcoast just because of how C9 Beastcoast plays this game and has played Cafe.
Compared to what you just said, compared to their game against DZ, I think everything was OXG's favor.
Absolutely.
Labs is a better map for OXG statistically than it was for Dark Zero. Dark Zero is also a team that isn't as individually hungry at winning gunfights. They're a very good team, but C9BC is what OXG wants to be, a full team of gunners that everyone can pop off on. And Cafe, I think, is just such a good proven map for C9BC that I don't think the favors are any stronger today than they were yesterday.
All right, well, C9BC want to get back to their winning ways, but OXG want to try and avoid becoming the first 0-7 team in North American League history. Carter Hannafelt and Sam Stewart are on call for what may very well be history.
Well, I don't like that. I mean, it's just
Not great history to be a part of, huh?
no. It's like I don't want to be part of that. Like, can we? Are Parker and Jesse on call? Can we bring them in? Like, I don't want to be here for that. That suck. That would be brutal. Especially like, I was here for the Newer's rise. I was here for the come up in Tier 2, then obviously going on to OXG in 2022. I don't want to see this team, this OR, go 0-7. But unfortunately, Sam, the reality we're in, if OXG don't get all 3 points here, they are, like Los, going the way of the dodo.
Extinct. Yeah. No, it's,
That's what
it's
that
not-
means. That's what the saying means, Sam. That is what it means.
You are 100% correct, and so am I actually for the first time ever. No,
Both of us are.
no, but yeah. I mean, hey, but here's the thing, you know, when it comes to Oxygen, man, under new management, and the new management's not doing too hot, right? I mean, they just have not been able to find their stride with this roster, and I think they hit the nail on the head. You know, just not really having somebody that is stepping up to the plate and doing all of those, frankly, terrible jobs. I mean, somebody's got to do them. I think that they drew a very good comparison in between Oxygen as well as C9 as well. Oxygen, what they want to be is a roster like C9. C9 is a roster full of gunners, but at the end of the day, you know, you still have to get those things accomplished, and that's what C9 does. I mean, they have those people like hot and cold, somebody that does not care what they do under the sun. They're just going to do it for their roster, and they're, you know, they might have some rounds that don't exactly look great, but they're going to make it work. And, you know, we'll have to see if there's some adjustments for Oxygen down the line, but I think they're well within their right to call it on the ball here and go, yeah, I just don't think that Oxygen's really got it in the chamber for this one. And it looks like they might be going 0-7, man. I mean, what do you think about this, Carter? I don't really think, like I was saying, I just don't really think that they have the capability in the current instance.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a best of one. Anything can happen, and I think as Fox, you know, astutely pointed out, OXG's games have all been very close. I think it's important to keep in mind. This is still going to end a bit negative, but I'll bring some positives beforehand. OXG, technically speaking, in terms of score lines, have a higher floor than C9 Beastcoast do. OXG, their worst loss was a 7-4, ironically, to Los, who obviously are no longer in playoffs. But outside of that, it has all been 7-5s or OT losses. It has been an incredibly close stage for OXG. Now, Beast Coast, they've suffered a bit more dominant losses, 7-3s in some cases. They might be in a different position, but still. OXG have been close every single time, and a best of one, if just one more round goes their way in a couple cases, OXG have already won a couple games. That all being said, though, Sam, that all being said.
Are you going to say the bad things now?
I'm going to say the bad things now. This is Cafe. Last 2 times Beast Coast have played it, they have lost to the Sonics both times. The 2 times before that they played it, they beat BDS in the Grand Finals of Manchester, and they 7-1 FaZe. So, this is not a bad map for Beast Coast. This is a map with some extremely high-quality wins.
Yeah. And with that being said, C9BC is going to have some extra time to think about destroying Oxygen on this map if that is the way that it goes. Because, ladies and gents, we got to go to a break real quick. So we'll be right back whenever Cafe feels like operating with us.
Gated by attackers.
And then everything turned out okay. We are back. It's our second game of the day, Beast Coast versus Oxygen, who are struggling for air inside of the North America League, Sam, because if they do not win today's game in regulation,
10 seconds to go.
they are pretty much cooked from making the playoffs, just like Los before them.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, they've been so suffocated this entire stage that They have a little potential to go down in history today for all the wrong reasons. An 0-7 start in the NAL has never happened since its inception, and we're at the doorstep, Carter. So for Oxygen's, hope and prayers for the future of this roster, something's got to give, and hopefully it's today.
And now that we've all mentally reset, now that we've all figured it out, we've got the first kill going the way of Oxygen. So things are looking pretty good. Things looking pretty good. DS able to hold down inside a kitchen. Sure, you got the castle barricades blowing up, but just fires a few shots to the barricade, and oh no, you've lost your RAM, your main source of vertical destruction, though not the only one for C9 Beastcoast. You could still use the super shorty. Maybe you could use the breach charges, of course, but the bookie drones, a bit more extensive than either of those options.
100%. And that's the main thing that they're going to be focused on right now. Okay, we don't have the RAM. What's our adjustment going to be? We do have the breaching charges on Gavini, so obviously they can get the more important angles broken open. But as of now, they're just looking to try and exist with these angles working their way in on the soft walls for kitchen. See if they can get a pick back in their favor here, Carter.
He is in there.
He is.
He is sniffing the carpet right now. He is waiting for that Goyo to walk in front of the head holes so he can get his opportunity and make this a 4v4. He'll probably be here for a pretty extensive period of time because, I mean, DS is going to hold down inside a kitchen. He's not really going to move from that spot. The other roamers are going to be around the bar location, and sure, there is somebody in Kochak, but another position where you generally want to stay there and support your team, but not stray too far from it, given the importance. But Gavini will reveal his position a little bit with that Ash charge he sent about 15 seconds prior. And now with no easy pick giving itself away, they'll have to try and make something work. Gavini will, ironically, right as I say that, find not only the very player he spent 1 minute and 15 seconds waiting for, but then sprint down into Kochek and find the very next one. Spirits has exact information on a third, and Yaga falls just as easily as the previous two. With 55 seconds remaining, C9 Beastcoast have completely turned the tides against Oxygen, who now find themselves in a 2v4.
They're just so good at knowing the buttons to push, aren't they? I mean, they get taken out initially there. They slow things up. And they're like, okay, where's going to be the easiest point of entry to try and get these picks back in our favor? They choose Kochek's side. They take out the man over on Small Bake, and they eliminate the rest past that. But, I mean, it's just very well done from Cloud9. They get put on their back foot immediately, but they know how to re-entry into this building and get things going back in their favor. Very well done from them to stick to a team strategy and bowl over Oxygen on that side setup because it looked pretty tall there for a moment.
It did. It really did. You're able to take down the Ram early on. Sure, it's not like, getting that vertical control is not the end-all be-all of attacking Bakery, but it makes things a lot easier. You can throw nades down into Kochek and clear it that way. You can maybe, if you want to rotate Freezer later on, get a vertical angle that watches deeper into the site to cover the diffuser going down. You have a whole lot of options. And without her, you basically, the main way you win the round is, unfortunately, the way Beastcoast ended up doing it, which is using the flashbangs, using the utility you do have to try to create a lot of pressure around a position, typically Kochek, which is what Beastcoast do, and it ends up working out for them. Unfortunate for Oxygen, but hey, if they're able to keep a 5v4 start pretty consistent, could make for one of now many close games that Oxygen would be a part of.
Yeah. Too many to count for this stage as well. Oxygen constantly close to the sun, but burning up instead of being able to make it on out. C9BC trying to make that fact even more known here. Is this, again, this is a do-or-die situation here for Oxygen. Got some adjustments here. They don't want to play out the basement floor again, so instead we're going to go to reading and dining. Not the worst place in the world. Pretty preferable site, honestly, all things considered. C9BC are going to start working things from the white top area. We have a couple of soft breachers, got the Capitao in as well, and the infamous Doke, at least in our current iteration. Those changes recently haven't affected her play all that much. You just don't have immediate access to all of your calls, but still being played the majority of the time.
Now, no Doke player is really like, crap. Now the calls regenerate over the course of the round. She's unplayable. Still quite as good as she was before, especially when you can pair her with operators like Grim. You get the Dokkaebi info early on, or going into an execute. Use the Grim to lock down a specific area. The Dokkaebi allows you a bit more flexible lurking. You're very happy with it. You're very happy with this operator lineup if you're C9 Beastcoast. Really all you're looking for to, I suppose, make this round better than it was before is just get the 5v4 instead of going down 4v5. Because last time, the utility clear for C9 BC was very good. the recovery from the early round was very good. And if we see them work off this Dokkaebi call and the intel gathered effectively, they would have taken a 90% good round in round 1 and made it that 10% better.
Slow beginnings for C9BC once again, but it's very similar to that back foot we got them set up on in the previous round. It's a patience moment for them as they begin to wrap around the site. They've got things, the majority set up, and Nordy a swing in here via the white hallway. You don't see that one ever so often, but this time around it is going to be the entry point for C9BC, and we do still have one player up here. I did think we still had something back here. That's actually the Ash on the other end of that. Sometimes the silhouettes get a little messy, folks, so there's not another Oxygen player. I think it's just Hat up here alone, actually, and behind the far cocktail bar. Is Hot and Cold going to check it? I don't think he is, but oh! He turns on a dime and he burns him! Oh, Hat! He gives up the phone too. They have a Valkyrie. There's so many different ways that C9BC can break this down.
Man, that is rough. That is really that's really unfortunate. I thought he was going to have that. But hey, Newers could still provide a very powerful angle to deal with this attacking setup. He can maybe retake into train later on. I don't even think Gavini meant to kill that guy. I think he was hunting for Newers, but he finds one instead. C9 Beastcoast still firmly in the advantage, now entering the post plant. Yaga will be able to retake top floor, but of the 5 players remaining, 3 are around 40 HP, and the rest are not looking that great either. Gavini certainly so, has made it a 2v2 as Newer is heating up in the second round. But as long as Diffuser and Hot and Cold remain alive, stacked, clutching each other behind this bookcase, they might still be able to get 2 in a row. Newers falls. That's the player, oh no, now rotated down below, so it's just Yaga up above, now hopping down. But he's got to run into both of these players. One now immediately retaking up top. Seems unlikely Yaga would even win the round if he won the gunfight. He just lost 2 in a row for C9 Beastcoast. The long break, unfortunately, doing little to quell OXG's nerves.
Yeah, you know, and all things considered, I don't think it's a bad strategy from Oxygen there. I mean, they peel things back, try and play things out on the mid-floor, leave Hat upstairs to try and have some semblance of a play happen, but nothing comes of it. And honestly, he plays things out in a picturesque way. Good patience, just not capable of winning the fight. I think Hot and Cold does get a little lucky there as well. That totally caught him off guard. But, I mean, C9BC once again just proving why they are such a solid team. Whether it be Oxygen getting the first pick or C9, the answer is still C9BC across the board as they take 2 rounds.
And Gavini also, I think, 5-1 through 2 rounds. I mean, really strong individual performance coming through from Gavini, a player who can very easily take over games, and scored an ace in yesterday's game on Lair, even though C9 Beastcoast ended up losing that game 7-5 to SSG. Still a player who's been feeling very good in the previous play and today as well. And as Fox mentioned, Spirits was a huge performer to get this map over BDS in the grand final of the Manchester Major. There are a lot of players on Beast Coast who have just even 1 heats up can basically win 1 map for this team. And the same can't unfortunately be said for Oxygen. Newers hasn't been playing, like he's the final boss of Rainbow Six, but he's been the most consistent player for Oxygen, and it's been enough to get these games close. But still, they've yet to get one over the line. Whereas Beast Coast, sure, they've dropped a couple, but those individual performances have been enough in certain situations to win games or win maps that seemed like they were going the other way.
Okay, well, for those with a keen eye, or those that just got back, we'll also explain it for them as well, I guess, right? Sometimes
oh my
a popcorn
God!
break during those breaks.
There's a frost.
There is a frost, but there's a couple of things. Number one, Oxygen used their attack timeout after round 2, which honestly I don't think is poor timing at all. Something is inherently wrong with these defensive strategies, and they are constantly falling apart when C9BC actually apply proper pressure to them. So they try and rethink things here for round 3. They've changed things up. They've brought the frost, as my duo has kindly noted, as well as Scopos, actually, Carter, something that we don't see all that often, and something that constantly has us scratching our heads, at least, past Clubhouse. Clubhouse, it's made a lot of sense, especially with what we've seen upstairs, makes people have to deal with things inside of that, little shower area, makes it really difficult on them. A lot of times, just teams not really knowing exactly what to do just yet, but obviously they'll be ready for it down the line now that they've seen it. But this time around, here on Cafe, How are we going to see this implemented? That's my big question. There's not something that just screams, hey, put your Scopos here and try and make things happen. Maybe it's going to be Deep Freezer. That's really all I got off the top of my head. I'm interested to see why Oxygen have brought this in this lineup.
I will commend Oxygen for this. I don't have numbers to back this up, but it does feel like of all the teams in the NA League, Oxygen has been the one that has experimented with Scopos the most. I've seen it when they played on Clubhouse. They played it in the Lair game, and now they're playing it on Cafe, and got a kill. It's cut down Diffuser, and I was about to say, what do you know? Where's the other one? Well, if Yaga is upstairs, odds are the second one is down below. Same could be said for Gunner, and can only be said for about 2 seconds. Diaz spots the Nook, cuts him down, and Cloud9 in a very difficult position. 3v5 as they move across this top floor, because what can Yaga do? Well, pretty much just teleport down below, and the rest of the team has rotated back in kind. He will lose that remaining Scopos robot. Don't know if it's Talos or Colossus, but somebody's going down as a result of it. Hot and cold drops. Down goes one, but it's still Oxygen on top, as the gunfights keep being exchanged deep into the mid-round. Spirits has moved down white. His teammate is over in Pillar, so they could pinch this remaining player in reading to make this a 2v3, well, unless Diaz has something to say about it. At this point, it seems like Oxygen might just be able to make the quick layup and get their first round on Cafe.
I like the Marshawn Lynch strategy. There's like, just run through their face. Just grab a gun, shoot straight. And it works out. They get the initial pick and they frag out the majority of the C9 BC roster. It is down to Spirits, and that guy's got a commercial out of off of him. So don't really ever want to count him out, but still, it's going to go the way of Oxygen. No smiles just yet because they know how long of a road this is going to be, but definitely have to be happy with these initial results post-timeout.
Wish we had I don't know, it's like, I was about to say, I wish we had seen more from the Scopos, but like, not really an operator that lends itself to many highlights. It's like, what's he going to do? Like, hit the quick TP back down to the site? Either way, Yaga got 2 kills, so nice Scopos play there. Really, I think the highlight got to go to DS Lucas right there, spotting that lurk from Gunner, taking him down outside of reading. Sure, Yaga did a good job. 3 kills in that round, I believe, actually. Yaga did a good job overall, like, winning fights and, taking engagements for OXG, but really do think that if Diaz hadn't spotted Gunner right there, that's an entirely different round.
100%. That rotation right there was really what was going to be the house of cards crashing down for Oxygen, right? Because then things start to kind of get kicked up in a flurry. You probably see C9 BC get on the accelerator as well, and you never really know what happens in moments like that. So good on Oxygen to nip it in the bud early there, and just overall, what a round as well there from Diaz. So has to be happy with that one as they will transition back downstairs. So they did not find the greatest success earlier on. They did get the initial pick in this round. This is where they picked off Gunner, as he was Ram in the previous round, or the previous iteration of this round. But this time around, obviously hoping to make it to the mid floor and actually be able to use his dang drones to break up things and get those vertical angles for C9.
A pivotal operator introduction for that very reason. Gavini, before on Ash, now on Buck, in case Gunner gets shot through the bakery double in the first 15 seconds. Just to be safe. Just to be safe. There are some more broader changes in the lineup as well. We did have the Flores from Diffuser previously, now on the Twitch. There aren't any castle barricades this time, so understandable rotation, and plus the Twitch can deal with so much more of the utility that Oxygen are bringing right now. The magnets, the Maestro cams, goo mines, pretty much everything, and you could shock the Warden's glasses. Wouldn't have the same effect as the other 4, but you certainly could do it. First player targeted by the Deathmark tracker from Deimos, and Cloud9 do what they typically do, which is send 3 players immediately to take control within the map. Will they find the Legion? Bit unclear at the moment, but I do appreciate that on a full clear of the top floor, they are not wasting any time to move down to the middle.
Well, just like I'm waiting to see how C9 BC is going to jump, my cat's trying to jump on my chair right now, so I'm actively trying to avoid that from happening. There he goes.
Listen,
okay.
you gotta kick him out. I hate to say it. I've got a cat that does the same thing. You gotta kick him out.
He doesn't do this very often.
RTA Sam, respect the alpha.
It's true. It's true. He doesn't do this to me often, but hey. Be more on topic, though. C9 have gotten control of the mid floor, but obviously, since they're just breaking things up, it doesn't get real active until we start to see them work these angles, which Gavini is going to do for us right now as one of the Oxygen players tries to skimper off over towards Sink. You do see one of those players down low. It's going to be the Maestro of Hat peeking things in off the brown stairwell. Gunner waiting to see if he'll just overswing things for him. Maybe get a gunfight that's conducive to their situation. But it's going to be Spirits as well as the Deimos that hot and cold.
Oh.
Please tell me you saw that. That was a drop shot with the revolver. Wild West in the hands of hot and cold. Going to get traded out though. And now just a full-on Hail Mary here from C9 BC as it's going to be fight after fight out of Oxygen. The dust will settle as a 2 versus 3 in favor of the defense.
But they've got direct intel on that player in code check. It'll be a bit difficult, but Spirits has both of those nades to throw in. Maybe pressure Gomez a little bit. Stuck in the corner. He dies as a result. Tricky situation for him to find himself in. Spirits making good use of the new banking mechanics, halves that grenade timer, and Gomez is left with little options to recover. But that's just a 2v2, and time is still favoring Oxygen. The obs blocker will not give Gavini any direct intel on this Maestro, but when you're feeling sparky, Hat's no man to stand against you. Huge recovery for Cloud9, and the momentum that seemed to be favoring OXG is now back in the hands of the blue.
That's just so crazy. I mean, Carter, how many teams, T1 teams, have we seen get in a situation like that and they don't fall back on the fundamentals like we just saw from C9 right there? They're still working their angles. They're still working drones in to see if they get anything of the sort. And I know that, some people are going to be like, well, Stokes, there was an ops blocker there. I mean, it just got shot really quickly. But that's really all these pro players need in a situation like that. Like, it's probably not the window. He's probably still playing coffee. He takes that fight, dusts the man inside of that coffee area, and they get that plant down immediately. Nobody gets overzealous. We don't see somebody get super aggro over towards the other player. They know the winning situation and they play for it. It's just so very well done from C9 BC, and that's the thing, they make it look effortless, but there is so much process going through these guys' heads in moments like that. It's just impressive. Round 4 goes the way of C9 BC as they are stuffing up Oxygen right now. They have not been able to get a single moment to breathe.
2v4 for Cloud9 that round, and they've only got one opening kill in the 4 rounds so far. In a round 2, a round they won, but every other time, OXG are getting these 4v5s. In that round, they got a 4v2, and still Cloud9 Beastcoast were able to win it. It's not the kind of thing that can win you a lengthy series, but unfortunately for Oxygen, who need every single point from today's game, those kind of moments are enough to win you just one singular map. Hat will find himself on the top floor again. Another moment that, even though Oxygen did end up winning the round, a moment that still was so brutal. Hat trying to remain cloaked on the second floor, found by Hot and Cold instead. See if he has any more luck with it this time, as he's quite literally in the exact position he was before.
Like, no one is at least out the hell door down here. That castle barricade is more than likely full. I didn't see any impacts on it, so I don't think that they've set that up for a hop out. Gomez, very aggressive. He's going to pop the door as well here. Hat's starting to get pressured up top, but now they know that he's in this deep cocktail position. I don't think anybody's stopping this from happening. That's going to be a freebie as the Fuser hops outside. They're going to catch the pulse as well. Hot and Cold for 2. He sprints in, gets a 3rd. Stop it! Hot and Cold! Done. What the hell is that? It's a quad kill out of Matt. And I mean, just ice the cake already, man. Disgusting stuff.
What is happening?
It's a 1 versus 2. Yogg's got a double kill. I can't breathe. Speaking of breathing, Carter, what the hell is going on in this round?
What the hell, man? That was insane. And he's got vertical control now. They're walking right below him. He sends out the smoke. Diffuser's so low HP. He's got to be careful walking into that. He might have died if he took a couple whiffs. This is now a very peculiar position. Where will C9 Beastcoast try to put this diffuser? Unfortunately, no angle for Yaga to work off of, so the brief moments that this round was moving in chaos. Unfortunately, I think the moment to win it has slipped away from Yaga. At least to win it on anything except raw mechanical skill and intuition. He'll drop down below. One player has moved out onto the rappel, and the other has moved deep down white. Cloud9 understand that if they play too close to this diffuser, that's the way they'll give Yaga a way into this. So the smoke canister goes out, but it's shot right at the perfect moment. Only one remaining to try to cloak Yaga's approach. Halfway down, somebody's going to take this fight. Somebody's going to take this fight, and it will be Gavini who finds the briefest of angles through the window into their 4th round.
I don't know if there has been a better way to just showcase what we mean with a team that just everybody can frag out. They'll just hit a moment and hit their stride, right? That right there. I mean,
Dude,
he's on
like-
Habana, man. He's on
Well, like,
Hot
what
and
is
Cold
this
is on
clip?
Habana. Like,
What
just
is
watch
this?
This right here, not this. This is what gets me right here. Watch this. He kills this man, immediately turns on the other man at the door, and he dusts him too. Like, you just don't get away with that kind of stuff.
This is where again I want to. I'm. Hold on, I gotta sit down. I'm like hunched over.
Are you
talking
standing
about
right
that.
now?
I was like standing hunched over.
Discover the location of a bomb.
C9 BC had you feeling some type of way, huh?
Dude, like, what? How do you do that? But that's what I mean. Like, when we talk about that OXG 6 losses, like that obviously looks and is really bad. But like, these games have been close. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do against that?
5 seconds remaining.
What are you supposed to do? Not get shot?
Attackers
Not like,
defuse the bomb.
not get hit with like the nastiest clip of all of stage 2?
Yeah. Hot and Cold, who's been, you know, playing professional play since some of these players in this lobby currently on Oxygen were like 12. He's still got it, man. And these are some of the best mechanical players that NA has to offer, no lie, on Oxygen. And they're getting just completely destroyed. And they're taking decent fights. I mean, that very last fight, Carter, Hotten's like half HP, and he still wins it. Like, it's just disgusting. It's the kind of stuff you can't teach, man. It's stuff the preacher can't preach, you know? It's insane. So, Hot and Cold, another one for your insane history. Let's see if you guys can close it out in an awesome way. Oh my goodness gracious. The call goes out. We go in with some nice plants going down from a fuse shield. Nobody can even see through these smokes except for Warden. Hat's going to kill one. The diffuser's on the ground. It's a 3 versus 5. C9 BC is trying to have a little bit too much fun with their food in round 6.
Well, 4-2-1/2 for Oxygen. Technically for Cloud9 Beastcoast. Well, that seems
A little anticlimactic, you know?
I'm not sure what to do here. They thought they were iconic, and unfortunately they were, well, they were not.
I didn't have 6ix9ine playing. That was the
They
issue.
did not have 6ix9ine. Gunner was on Fuse Shield instead of Monty. Got C4 instead of repelling back out. Really, it was just, are we just going to sit here?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I mean, quick explanation. We'll wrap this up with a bow for you guys. C9 BC went for a skylight rush on Cafe, one of the oldest tricks in the book, and it didn't work out because it's not great. It's really not great. So
Hey, listen, you gotta, ignoring that Gunner immediately died to a C4. You gotta really, when you drop down, you gotta win that fight with the guy like on Cocktail Balcony. You gotta win that fight. You gotta win like the fights immediately, and then get the diffuser down. After that, all bets are off. You could have literally one guy, and if he's on Skylight, there's at least like a semi-decent chance he wins that. Then obviously, you know, in reality, Gunner got C4'd, everyone else died, so like, very funny way to end that half, especially after I like had to stand up and get out of my chair from what Hot and Cold did in round 5. But it means it's up 4-2 for Cloud9 Beastcoast as they move to their defensive side. Some very strong attacks we saw from them, but also like one was a 2v4, one was Hot and Cold, like literally entering flow state in front of our eyes. Sure, some of it was strategy, some of it was God being on Cloud9 Beastcoast's side, so
yeah,
we'll just see if they've still earned his favor on their defenses.
Bomb located by attackers.
it's just honestly, it's just so nuts. You really feel for Oxygen in moments like that too, because these guys are seriously trying. I mean,
Gunner is 0-6.
Yep.
Gunner has been he's been
he
a
might be the
passive
happiest guy
observer.
on C9. You know? Oh, not only that, dude, but I swear he's like the happiest dude on C9 BC right now too. Like you go to his camera, guy's just got the biggest grin on his face, and it's
has
like,
he even been traded?
yeah, I think he got traded once or twice, one of those two numbers. But I mean, the key thing for me is, at least if we want to keep it more strategical, when we go back to that last round, we did a lot of smoke in there. We didn't bring a glass, man. We didn't bring a glass. We're just like, hey, Warden can kind of do what he wants. But I mean, even past that, the utility delivery from Oxygen is really what punishes C9 BC, and that's usually what punishes you on a rush strat, especially in that instance there on that particular bomb site. So, but don't really have to consider it too much now since we've switched sides. Oxygen going to be on the offensive, and they're going to bring Ram as well for their very first round here.
The same strat to achieve verticality that Beastcoast typically prefer to use on their attacks, and is the preference of a lot of people on Cafe. Obviously, you could bring a whole lot of options, could bring that buck too, but if you're just able to throw a couple boogie drones in, especially on that third floor, gives you peace of mind. Also frees up the ability to bring, you know, operators like the Grim, or in this case, bring the IQ, which, given that Valkyrie is unbanned, a pretty decent defensive operator, I will say. Not a whole lot of stuff I think the IQ can really spot, or that's like super important on Cloud9 Beastcoast side, but it's an extra set of nades at least, and hey, now they can see if there are any ADSs in Pixel, which they've realized and have now started clearing.
Oh man, this is giving me flashbacks of like 2019, 2020 Cafe.
Oh, don't remind me.
Pixel position, got things over inside of Cigar here. They're just going to hold on to this. They're trying to take Christmas away from Oxygen, and it's going swimmingly so far. Gunner's going to get on the board for the very first time. It's going to be a nice little pick of Hat. That's going to be their hard breacher off the board, and no secondary hard breach either, so that option's going to go out the window if they do want to try and break anything up. Fortunately enough, they are on the reading and dining defense here, so life going to be a little easy for Oxygen in that regard, but still a lot to do, and Diaz is going to get taken down from Spirits. It seems like every which way that they're cutting this up, it's all pretty solo dolo right now, Carter, and it's getting them severely punished.
That's not looking good at the moment. Yaga over by Brown, so him and Gomez consolidating a little bit. Hello. Gomez finding a bit of a gap, but triggered by the Banshee. Not completely open, but Gomez has worked his way up into the red hallway, now shot the default. Almost about to say Spirits is around the corner, but it's still Gomez. Some vertical destruction that Cloud9 Beastcoast can look through as I was about to say, they try to push further into dining since that hatch is very much open. Gavini remains, nade goes out, he takes the fight, and Yaga caught with a nade in his hand. 4-1 at least, now that Newers finds a kill in a less than unwinnable situation than it was before, but only relatively so. 5-2 now, as Cloud9 Beastcoast still by far and away the leaders on Cafe.
Yeah, Oxygen just did not have an answer as to how they wanted to actually take control of things on that top floor. Their entire plan was, okay, let's get Christmas, and more than likely transition that into a dining plan. But the entire strategy for C9BC was, okay, we're going to break things open up top, set some things up over for Cigar, and have somebody play inside of Christmas. We play the windows, take things away from the offense, make it to where they can't actually get in the map. And that's exactly what worked out for C9BC. They get that big pick. Oxygen really can't risk things in the same way that they originally could on that top floor. So they try and make an adjustment. They think they have a gap on the mid floor. Doesn't turn out because Banshees exist and she gets 4 of them. So they're going to be somewhere, right? You know, Oxygen just really can't find any foothold across the map. C9BC constantly are in their way on every single assault that they choose to implement. I mean, they even get that moment there inside of Train where they're like, okay, maybe we can try and get a plant going here inside of Dining. And they get capped off by Jaeger upstairs, still just existing inside of Christmas and playing things through the hatch.
10 seconds left before insertion.
And just Gavin things, breaching 10 kills in 7 rounds. Really good individual performance from him so far, and just building off the success he had yesterday as well. Very dangerous territory now for Oxygen. Just one more round, and your playoff dreams are gone. Remote as they are, unlikely as they are, you lose one more round, doesn't matter the scoreline, doesn't matter if you win, you're not making playoffs. Tough pill to swallow, but they need to win this 5 rounds in a row. They have let multiple games slip away up until this point. They were up against the Sonics, lost the comeback. They were doing well against Wildcard, lost in overtime. Every game has been 12 rounds minimum, save for 1. Oxygen has been so close, and for their most dominant loss to potentially come at the moment it would cost them playoffs, this round is incredibly important for them to win.
The 11th hour is upon us, and something has to be done by Oxygen. Otten doing his best to not lose one of those yokais to the timer outside. Accidentally flips those, but able to get back on it in due timing, and we're going to have an aggressive play from Oxygen on this top floor. We'll have control of Pixel and Christmas, but where's the setup from C9BC? Gunner's going to get one, a trade out here from Diaz. Gunner currently existing inside of Reading. Another body's going to fall over here inside of Train, as Newers will be able to pick that one up with the M762. It's a 3 versus 4 in favor of the offense, but This is where the fundamentals come into play. We got to get back on these drones. We got to get some active info and see if we can get some bigger picks here. Speaking of active info, Gavini knows exactly where one is, and he still loses the fight. That's going to be a huge moment here, especially if Oxygen starts to claw this back.
Now that could have been the difference maker for Cloud9 Beastcoast right there. Now that Gavini's lost that, Oxygen have a minute, 10 seconds, no, around 50 seconds really, to use this remaining time, find intel, get the utility in place. They don't have a lot. They've used 3 of their 5 canisters on Grim's side. They have a couple grenades, but they're out of those concussions to maybe get any remaining intel on anybody playing in a close corner as they push into the site. But they do have enough to make something happen. But look at Spirits down below. Hat is the man with the diffuser. They were able to react to Gavini, but do they know about Spirits? A drone flies by overhead. Mach 5 to find the players in the site. But the varied player they needed to find most has gone unread. That is Diffuser beneath the window. That's Newer's dead on the hatch. Gomez might cut down one, but can Spirits just win the 2 fights to completely shut Oxygen out of playoffs? He's got a C4. Just one rip of that and a press of the button, and that could be it. Game, set, match for their playoff chances, but DS hops on the table, and that might just be enough. 1v2 post plant now that Spirits has to win on gunplay, has to win by landing these shots, and he's caught without any information as to where the hell those bullets came from. 1 HP remaining, and that's easy for Gomez to win. Dire straits for Oxygen, but they just pull it over the line.
It is worrisome right now. Oxygen are just getting by with the skin of their teeth right now. And I mean, the biggest thing is, you know, C9BC are technically 1 round away from making it to where their playoff hopes are completely dashed. They need the full 3 points coming out of this. And as of right now, C9BC have a lot of runway to try and land this plane.
They do. The fact that they were almost able to make another one of those 2v4s happen.
The location of a bomb.
I mean, very, very basic instinct for a player. Hop up on the table so you dodge the C4, but just glad it didn't fail you in that moment, because that could have been it for Oxygen, depending on what happened afterwards. The Beast Coast still have a couple more chances to get that match point. Or Oxygen have a couple more chances for it to slip away. Gavini, hello! Looking to try and hide that Vigil. Run all the way up on stage, hoping that no drone will run up, and odds are he's probably correct, as the site is kitchen, and he's sprinted up to the Christmas stage in about 0.5 seconds. We'll see if OXG know or not. We certainly have the IQ. Oh, we're spawn peeking with the boss G. I didn't know that was the game plan.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
I don't hate it. I don't love it either, but I don't hate it. It really just depends. If he kills somebody, great job. If he doesn't do anything, And if he dies, terrible, Gavini.
Well,
I can't believe you'd ever do that.
Well, nobody spawned over there, so.
Well, at a bare minimum, they should at least, if they do check that side, know that somebody is around the venue.
Oh, they don't know.
Let's see, though.
Gomez just fired a couple shots. No, Gomez just fired a couple shots through the window, and Gavini was right there, but not like fired a couple shots like aiming. He just like did like the hip fire to open the window and make noise, and again, there's nobody. There's nobody there.
Huh. Well, you know, if you would have paused it right there and been like, what's Gavini gonna do? That was probably the last thing on my list. I'll be so honest with you. Like,
he went out that window with so much confidence. I was like, oh my god. Oh, there's nobody there. All right, well. 5v4 for Oxygen. You're not going to complain about getting that opening pick, are you, Sam?
No, I mean, that one it's Amazon delivered like 24 hours to my door. I mean, I would never complain about that in a million years. So for C9BC, though, they're not going to worry too much. They knew the inherent risk when they allowed Gavini to go up there and make that move. And I mean, hey, if it works out and he kills 2 people outside, it's a whole different story, right? So we won't give him too much grief about it. Yaga is going to end up taking down Gunner now. Gunner now. It's going to make them worse for wear moving into the latter half of round 9. They do have a lot of utility still to break up this flooring and the time on their side. Oxygen, we just got to be accurate here. Speaking of accuracy, Diffuser, I think the first bullet out of that vector rips Newer to shreds.
Well played shots on that long angle for Diffuser. OXG could theoretically win this on utility, but I mean, Oxygen's lineup is still quite good. You've got 1 shock drone remaining, could take down any of the Vulcan packs in sight, maybe find a Yokai too. Sure, the Warden could maybe look through the flashbangs from Diaz or the smokes from Hat, but there's still plenty in Oxygen's pocket to either spot the Yokais and move around them, or have the utility to deal with it. But Diffuser's found another. Gomez killed on the vertical, and Haughton's killed Diaz. This was a 5v3. We had it, and Oxygen they're on the second floor. They're just moving and getting shot. They haven't tried to move down to the bottom, and only now when they do so, they're in a 2v3. 2 players, if they fall, Oxygen will be out of playoffs contention. So Yaga moves in, fires 1 shot, and Hat needs to cover. Hat needs to watch, needs to be the guardian angel as Yaga moves us into the post. Diffuser can see him on the cutoff, has to react late. Houghton on the flank finds 1, and Spirits with the next. And that is all she wrote for Oxygen, as the most they can achieve from today and their game tomorrow is 5 points, putting them at 7, below wildcard in 6th place at 8. They are our 2nd team out of playoffs.
The season is finito, my friend. It is over. It's done. Oxygen, especially, you got to be feeling for, you know, the main core of this roster. I mean, things just not working out for them on a lot of different pages. And I think that last round as well, just really highlighting a lot of the issues that they have. They get that huge advantage, Carter. They have all of that play on the mid floor, but they don't adjust things downstairs. They don't start setting up for a proper execute to try and get their plant down. They're just playing through multiple different angles and getting shut down. The thing that wins C9 BC that round is that they're patient on the verticality there, Carter. They find the open gap where people aren't holding things, and they just hold that nice little angle there and wait for somebody to show up. They're just fishing. And guess what? Oxygen makes for some great bait, don't they? They just walk right into those angles because they're just in a flurry on that mid floor trying to get more kills before they go for their execute. And they all die. Every single one of them dies by transitioning across verticality on that mid floor. And it's just, it's honestly just ridiculous. Like, you expect more out of Oxygen. You expect them to take that advantage and transition it into something that's going on that basement level, but it never happens. Instead, we finally get bodies down, you know, downstairs trying to make some plays on site with 2 people left. It's now a 2 versus 3. You can't have that happening.
Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
It's also just another example of something that Beastcoast or Cloud9 Beastcoast are able to do successfully that you feel like Oxygen should also be able to do on those defenses. I mean, we've got Newers, we've got Diaz, we have Yaga, Gomez, we've got Hat, who was the star player on Beastcoast when he entered the NAL a year ago. We have so many players who have been able to stand toe-to-toe with the rest of the players on the many rosters they've been on. Newers first and foremost, and they weren't able to do it on their defensive side, not because they lack the skill, but unfortunately for them, Beastcoast in this best of 1 just have that thing you can't predict. Hot and Cold is running across 2 different floors and getting 4 kills in a row. They've been able to clutch multiple 2vx's. I mean, Gunner's just walking through a hallway, and Yaga's able to get that freebie. OXG have the majority of the opening picks in the series, albeit by a slim margin now. It's not like it has been completely, you know, horrible from Oxygen. They're getting the advantages, and Beastcoast, sometimes strategically, sometimes by sheer freaking luck, are still pulling rounds over the line.
Yeah, they're just pulling the wool over their eyes constantly, you know? The price is always wrong when you're playing C9 BC's game. Oxygen still suffering from it. They aren't going to get their initial pick, but we're used to this song and dance, specifically with Gunner. I mean, Gunner has been risking himself time and time again in these rounds. This one a little bit different, obviously. Oxygen just really beating them to the punch on this mid-floor, but once again, we have the advantage. This time, though, mid-floor to transition upstairs. And how is this going to go? They know they have some bodies upstairs here inside of Cocktail that they have to deal with. We do have one of the players trying to operate around the Cocktail windows, but where are they going to try and work this? Are they going to try and fly up the Cocktail hatch? Oh, no.
I mean, there's one player
Please, no.
literally on that hatch. Are we about to switch places? We gonna get Freaky Friday in the laundry on Cafe? Yep, we are. Up Diaz goes. That's gonna be the weirdest call Hutton's ever had to give, and
oh my god!
He just sends the C4 in turn. That's diffuser drop. Diaz has to be breaking his monitor in half for that. This is what I mean. How the hell do you predict that? Newers manages to down Spirits as he hops over the white stairs. But it's a 2v4, and the C9 Beastcoast have diffuser with 25 seconds remaining. Hat gets off the rappel, marches up white stairs to make this maybe a 4v2. as he can get Newers back online. 3 Deathmark trackers, certainly 1 can give just a slim edge to Oxygen to close this out. But Gavini's got him lined up on white stairs. Diffuser's holding it down over by New Balcony. Nice little flick of the wrist. 3 seconds remaining. Can Hat hold on? Can he win this fight to give them a slim chance? No, as he goes around the corner with the pistol. Gavini could shut this all down. Buck drops down. Skeleton Key to watch from below. He'll try to rip it open. He's got to reload. He fires the shots. He just barely gets him in time to save a basically meaningless game. But still a moment of levity in the 1v1 on Cocktail.
These guys are going to give me a heart attack, man. This is ridiculous. Like, oh my goodness gracious. I never in a million years would I think that things would break down the way that they did, especially with that Gara hook. That's just so ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. And somehow, some way, Oxygen still make it out on the other side, but C9 BC gave them a run for their money there. Get it down to the 1 versus 1, just not able to pull things across the line. A quick move there from Yogg keeps him alive. It keeps the round alive as well. And tack timeout, technical timeout. What do we got here, folks? Let's see. It's 6-4, and it's gonna be a timeout from C9 BC as they look to close this chapter on Oxygen.
Gotta appreciate that. Still some smiles on the faces of the OXG team after that round. It was an objectively just like insane, ridiculous state of affairs. The switching places with hot and cold and everything. So going into this tactical timeout, still some hopefully good spirits as Cloud9 Beastcoast will, as you said, take this tactical timeout. They've got 2 chances to close this out in regulation. This upcoming round and then the next one after that to secure themselves 3 points. With that victory, I believe even with an overtime victory, they would secure their spot in playoffs, as M80 currently with 12 are qualified, and 12 generally seems to be, in all of these stages, always 12 seems to be about the line where you're able to make it in the playoffs. This is what I mean, man. Like, I mean, it's not an uncommon position to play on that hatch, but like, what are the odds you go up and you immediately switch positions and are just able to C4? Ridiculously close set of affairs afterwards had to switch to the Skeleton Key to make that work. But as the tactical timeout has ended, we'll see what Cloud9 Beastcoast decide to do to adjust. To be honest, I don't know if they exactly need to adjust much, Sam. Maybe you disagree, but I doubt you really need to switch things up to any ridiculous degree.
No, I don't think they really do. You know, these rounds have had you know, a lot of buffoonery. We've seen some definitely interesting things happen, but it really hasn't been up to C9 BC. I mean, maybe you want to dial things back like what we saw with Gavini over inside of Christmas, but that's really about it. Just don't go for the high-flying risks. You're still allowed to take proper risk, right? So we'll see what C9 BC want to go with. We're gonna have the Gara hook again here for Newers. Oxygen, what are we cooking? All right. So a Shaq free throw at first. Let's see what else we got. What? Are we playing hacky sack right now? What are we doing, New? Okay, all right.
He just gave up.
Okay. It's like, you can't predict this game, dude. You can't do it.
He's like, All right, I'm driving up around. Not dealing with that. I'm curious where we're gonna put this Amaru again. I mean, you think up the dining hatch, you could also just like go to the roof quickly or go in through one of the 3rd floor windows very quickly to acquire control.
Ubisoft, bring the cooking nades back, man. Just please, just a little bit. Don't fall out this time. It will kill Gomez. Okay, thank God.
Can you imagine if bounced and he didn't drop and he just dies? That'd be so rough. So he's just going in the double window. He's gonna try to like what, flank up red or maybe take the fight with the guy Train or mining? We'll see.
It is mid-floor for the bomb site, right? So maybe he just tries to work his way in for red or for like mining area. He's gonna go in now. We're gonna get the answer immediately. Yogg's gonna gun down 1. It's a pretty fast full court press there. They're just trying to see which area of C9 BC they can exploit. They'll at least get diffuser dealt with. But C9 BC still have some curious angles up top. Gunner wins 1. Can he get the 2nd? Somehow, some way, he almost does. Hat's gonna kill Spirit. It's down to a 2 versus 3. Make it a 1 versus 3 after Yogg out of nowhere clotheslines Gavini.
Hold on. We've got Hot and Cold alive. 38 years old, 3 kids, 1 year away from retirement. He's dropping 11 and 6 right now. DS is on 11 HP. 11 HP. Oh, he's spraying through the floor. I don't even know. Was that if that was the Thatcher? I mean, he didn't get the shot, so it doesn't matter. But that would have been ridiculous. On par with everything else that's happened this game so far. 40 seconds remaining. He's got that one Banshee over on pillar side to reveal any. All right, well, he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Oxygen take the round. 6-5 now. Oxygen have had a lot of close games. Had a couple OT games. This will now be, if my count is correct, let's count it up, everybody. 1. Hold on, I missed my count. 1, 2, 3 7-5 games they've had. 3 7-5 games they've had so far. This is now their 4th.
Yeah. Yep. They're close, man, and that's the thing. It's a testament to how skilled these players are, right? Because
I want them to win. I want them to win. I'm sorry, Fett. I'm sorry, but I want them to win.
At least he apologized. You're not going to speak for yourself any further? Is that all you had to say?
It's obvious why I want them to win, right? Like, obviously, you know, they're out of playoffs. Like, you know, I actually think I think Cloud9 Beastcoast actually might have qualified off that win as well, off the overtime securing as well. So, like, both these teams, one is in playoffs, one is not. I want OXG to win, okay? This team has got 12 rounds, at least, in every single game they've played except one. They have earned it. They have earned a win.
You know what? I'm gonna say something unprecedented right now. I'm a little bitter when it comes to my sports, okay? And you know, if Oxygen went 0-7, that's what you get for dropping Laxing. That's all I gotta say. That's it. It all started there, man. It all started there. Okay.
You're reaching back 2 years.
Dude. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, we stay jaded in this household. Yes, sir.
Well, listen, I'm glad Gabe got dropped, because now he gets to like. Because now we hang out.
You're getting jumped at the major. Oh, Houghton!
Well, that's what to say. We get to hang out at events now. Speaking of which, happy Matt is on Beastcoast, because we also get to talk at events. Ooh, Gomez, hello.
Nice find.
Spirits caught a little lacking in a very strong position. He basically undid an Oxygen round previously from that exact spot. Gomez spots another, but unfortunately, with that one shot reveals his position. So the Jaeger will get away, but hey, you're not complaining about that. Gomez able to make this a 4v4. Diffuser might be all the way across the building. But within the first minute, you got a pick. But more importantly, that pick was the guy playing in Humidor. I'll take that deal.
Take that deal any day of the week.
Damn good deal.
Well, we'll see if these stocks work out for Oxygen. I'm going to trade things out on Spirits up top, but it's been the same song and dance for the majority of these rounds. Carter, we've seen a lot of Oxygen early on in these rounds, getting these picks on C9BC, getting some semblance of map control, and then the dying moments of the round, that's when it all falls to shreds. Whether it be by C9BC simply boxing out Oxygen or just outright killing them, it seems like the results are all the same. Right now for C9BC, they're trying to remake this magic that we've seen throughout those rounds and potentially pull the wool over Oxygen's eyes for the very last time here on Cafe, making it a 7-5 for, what'd you say, Carter? The third time this season for them?
The 4th time.
The fourth time? 4 times?
4 times.
Well, with a minute remaining, I mean, Oxygen, I'm starting to hear the fat lady sing a little bit. I mean, gotta put that out there.
Well, listen, we pay her by the word, so she sings a lot. She's trying to make a living. As we move into the 4v4, a little deeper, Gunner might be spotted, but Oxygen still trying to use every second remaining to squeeze whatever intel they can gather. But Kavini cuts down one. Diaz Lucas falls. Now Oxygen enter the disadvantage. When they convert, they'll have to walk into this 416. Gomez a little less aware than he was before. Through the floor. 4v2. No quick draw, unfortunately, on Gavini. He forgot to equip it in his loadout. But Oxygen seem to be slowly creeping towards their 4th 7-5 loss of the stage. Diffuser will fire a shot like a roaring train into the skull of Yaga, and that is it. Beastcoast are your 5th team to make it into playoffs, and Oxygen are your 2nd to find themselves on the outside looking in. And got a couple more things to say, Sam, but our next game could very well decide our final 2 as well.
Most definitely could. And I mean, Carter, what a tough stage so far for Oxygen then. I mean, this is not the way that they wanted this roster to look. This is not the way they wanted things to go. And they just cannot get that little bit of just special dust, that special sauce that you need inside of a roster to make everything kind of coagulate properly, right? It just hasn't been going their way. There's no real glue to keep this team on the, straight and narrow. So, but with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw you a break and we'll be back with the Analyst Desk.
The second elimination of playoffs has already happened. Well, second elimination before we get to playoffs has happened. Oxygen Esports are now finally confirmed they will not be in the bracket. They're not in the tournament. C9BC instead will be going. It took another day longer than we thought it was going to take them to finally make their way into the best of threes, but they got there because Cafe was apparently not the play for OXG.
No, it was not. I mean, C9BC, they went up in rounds. It was very textbook from them. They played really well off of each other, the way they were getting those opening picks. And then once they got to match point, I think it was just C9BC trying to stunt on them. It felt like a little bit of a cartoon game. Amar going up the hatch. A lot of Boss G jumps out from Gavin.
Hot and Cold's 4K.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to style on them a little bit, but it got a little too close for comfort. I'm glad they were able to close it out. A tough situation for OXG. I don't know how many times we got to say it, so I'm just not going to say it.
No, that's fair. And I said this game was going to be a close one. Oxygen did need this win if they want to keep their dreams alive, and they still kept it close once again. So, kudos to them that they've never fallen flat just yet, just fallen flat in terms of standings and qualifying for playoffs. But yeah, C9 Beastcoast, again, they had textbooks results. They had really good performances from all of their individual players. And it's just now at this point, it's just getting more reps in to look and see what playoffs can look like and see what Montreal possibly is in their future.
Everybody remembers C9BC back when they were just Beast Coast in stage 1. They were 5-3 when they made playoffs because they lost those first 3 games, then came back. There's still a route for them to be 5-3. It's just a little bit different here because there isn't a win streak for us to hold on to.
Well, and Fox said it best in the beginning. It's one thing of getting to the top, but it's even harder to stay at the top. So sure, they have fallen out just a little bit out of that, but the fact of the matter is they clinch playoffs here. That is the most important factor because you can still come out and be the first NA team to make that spot for Montreal. But again, that's still undecided of what that looks like.
It's actually so crazy because if you go and look at the stats, especially of the last 3 games, you would have thought OXG would have won these games just because statistically they actually are going up in rounds. They're pretty much making it such an even game. And you can't take away anything from that. They're keeping the games entertaining and they're getting there. It's just once it gets towards that end, they can't finally
It's not
close
once
it
they
through.
get there, it's every single time
Every
they get to
single
the end.
time.
Every single time they get to the end.
Yeah, they just
Right on
stumble
wrong.
off, just little issues. And it's not even like once they get to the end, it's just all a ton of issues. It's like one round, they'll be great because they get the opening picks. And then the next round, C9BC does something else and OXG can't get the picks and then they stall out. And it's just the constant adaptation from other teams. It just seems like OXG is always kind of playing catch up, which is why they're keeping it close because they're still a really good team.
Yeah.
But statistically.
Which one of you said it before that C9BC looks like the team OXG wishes they were? Was that you? That was
I said
you?
that, yeah.
It's kind of 100% true. Like, if we added up all of the times OXG players had superstar moments in games, like the time where Newers popped off yesterday, the time Yogg did really good today, and we take all of those and we add that up, then maybe they probably win a game if they're playing at that level. But the guys on C9BC are playing at that level almost every single game.
Well, and it more so comes down to just lack of teamwork is what really hinders OXG's performance so far. And again, we've already said this a million times, so I don't want to keep
Fox is over
reiterating
here
it.
like, I'm not getting in that conversation.
C9BC's got hot and cold, great solid support and leader. He's got Spirits, who was also an IGL and on the previous XSET team, that Gomez and Diaz and Yogg came from. So I don't know, maybe OXG, maybe if they get Spirits or Kino back, maybe it'll start working.
Guess so.
Interesting.
I wanted to put the rookie in the interviews chair, by the way. I wanted to talk to Diffuser for a couple of minutes. Dude, congratulations on the W. You beat OXG. You're going to playoffs. You're finally confirming it for yourself, and it's good to finally get the chance to talk to you, dude. Talk to me about what you were thinking in this matchup. Did you think Cafe was a bit of a curveball? Did you think OXG might finally break their curse? Just what was your mindset pregame before you jumped into this one?
I'm not really in the map bands at all. I just show up and they say it's Cafe, so I'm like, hooray, because I'm not smart enough to be doing map bands. Let's be real.
Give yourself more credit, dude.
And And then, so I found out it was Cafe, and I knew it was going to be a good matchup. I mean, they're a good team. Everyone sleeps on them. You guys sleep on them. I'm sorry. They're
hold
a good
on,
team.
hold on.
They just,
We do not sleep on them. We
I'm
have to criticize them respectfully, but we've talked about how close these games have been. And they've been
okay,
close.
yes, you did. They have been close. They keep it close because they're a good team, and they should be at the top. They have been going through their struggles like every other team goes through struggles, you know? And they're a good team.
They're just struggling a little more.
Gotta get props. Yeah.
You're a humble guy. I really like that out of you. I really like that out of you. But what I really liked today was how you guys played. And I wanted to ask a little bit, when you guys do play against teams that are on the lower end of the spectrum, is it a harder matchup because you don't know what to expect? I mean, in the map bans, obviously their map bans, not everything was going in their favor. So you knew, like, if it came to Cafe, could have gone to any map, what they were going to bring. You have no idea, or not that much of an idea. But when you're in that situation, what does it feel like? Is it easier? Is it harder?
I think going against teams that are known to be lesser than you, you should win. I don't think there should be any anxiety or anything. You should wake up that morning knowing you're about to win. If you lose, you lose. You should lose confident. You should win confident. Regardless of the outcome, you should be confident.
I like that. I mean, that's probably why you got the picture of yourself on the desk.
Absolutely.
Pull it out
Yes,
for us.
sir.
Let's see.
Okay. Wait, the team picture? Or...
The team picture. No, the picture of you. The picture of you.
Okay,
I love how you call him humble and then immediately you're like, yo, take the picture of you out of your desk real quick.
Right here.
What a nice guy.
I love that.
And Pixio box in the back. I'm using that Pixio monitor, you know. Best monitor out there.
Shout out for the sponsor.
Good chill. Good
Right.
stuff, Diffuser.
Well, Diffuser.
Keeping to brand guidelines.
One, I got a couple things for you. One, I want you to turn on a light in your room. I don't want you to strain your eyes. You're still young. I want to see you young, bright, and vibing in this career. And then two, I do want to talk about your consulate when you went against EZ. We haven't been able to talk about you guys. Was that a little bit of an ego challenge at that point? Or was it, like, what was the thought process of going to consulate for a third time?
I mean, again, I have nothing to do with the map bans. Lex.
You're there. You're part of the conversations.
I'm not. I wake up, they're like, we're going cons, you know? Like,
Kind of sounds like me. I'm not gonna lie. I can agree with that. All right, I'll let you slide on that. I can agree with that. I'll just show up and they'll be like, playing these maps.
We literally had a
Flashbacks, like, this is what it was like when I was a player.
We literally had a team comm of all of them singing. Like, they obviously don't do the map bands. Like, they're singing. They're getting in the vibe. So I respect it.
Yes, sir.
You're letting the Supreme Leader Vivid take all the reins on that for you. Talk to me about your very, very last game. It comes up tomorrow. It's a game that all of us have been looking forward to for a while. C9BC and Sonics. There's not a possibility for a top 2 push for you, but you could gatekeep them from getting top 2 and push yourselves a little bit further up. Any thoughts on how that game tomorrow is going to go?
No thoughts.
Nice. So he's going to wake up and he's going to
No thoughts,
he's
head
going to win
empty.
confidently.
We're asking too many questions.
And he's going to, or they're possibly going to lose confidence.
Doesn't do math.
Yes, yeah.
Doesn't think. Just shows
Regardless,
up.
we got playoffs. We're going to be there and we're going to win. See you in Montreal.
Oh. All right.
All right,
I like
dude.
that.
I like
Take the
that.
picture out one more time.
Really appreciate the soundbite.
Take it out one more time.
Give it a little kiss.
Right.
I love that. I love that.
Perfect.
There we go. Best interview we've ever had. Diffuser, thanks so much, dude. Again, congratulations on the dub. And if I haven't had the chance to say it to you guys, it's crazy seeing the trajectory that you guys are on. Keep it going. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Playoff bound C9BCR. Still one more game left to go tomorrow, but next week is the bounty. That's the best of 3s. That's playoff time. And he's already saying they're winning Montreal. And to be fair, who's going to argue with him?
I mean,
Who's gonna argue with it?
I think that's fair to say. You know, at least he's going to see us in Montreal, so I think that's good. That's fair to say. I mean, you can't take it away from him. They just won the last major.
I mean, they are the defending champions, so you should have that mentality going into it.
Yeah.
Will we see them there? That's undecided because we aren't in playoffs just yet. We still do got more games to be played, so, I mean, it's still undecided.
We do got more games.
We do got more games.
Because playoffs are not completely set yet. 5 slots are decided, still 1 more left to go. Currently, it's held by wild card, but there's a really good chance that someone else might be able to bump up and knock them back out. Can SSG just, like, hang them out to dry? We'll find out. Game 3 after the break.
Okay, so let me think. Oh, Dream Team. NAL. Okay. I have some players in mind. I'm gonna make a full aggressive team. I don't really care about the roles, so it's gonna just make a shooter team. Ambi, Spoit, Ashen, and só troca tiro mesmo. Não lembro o nome dele. Bota aí. Diffuser. Yeah, it's him. So okay, I'm gonna.
Diffuser is really good.
Oh, I need one more player. It doesn't matter the team. NJR. So my dream team is Ambi, Spoit, Ashen, Diffuser, and NJR. Coach can double up. Preciso de coach. Cloud9? Cloud9. Okay, so my coach is Cloud9.
It's total calamity, total mayhem inside of the server. Out of nowhere, they find their round back into their favor.
Holding up for the blood, the wave! And I think he might just find it!